everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Need to Nerd podcast. I am your host, Heezy, the number one Billy Zappi fan in the world, and I'm joined by my host, the most recent RCQ champion in all of Utah. Let's pop some champagne for the boy. It is, woo! That's right, Paddy B, MTG. And the crowd goes wild!
Thank you, Spencer.
Pour out.
Failing. I should have had it there.
Pour some champagne to toast my boy. Toast my boy live on... Oh, there we go. That's how we do. That's how we do. That's how we do, Paddy B. You know, today isn't just about Paddy B, though. It's about Hocus Pocus. So, Paddy B, to you, that is not a champagne flute.
I know, but the ones we had from last night are dirty, so.
Ah, delicious.
Yes.
Drink responsibly and don't drink underage. With that being said, today's about Hocus Pocus. Specifically, Hocus Pocus 2. Petty, the first episode you were ever on the show was Hocus Pocus. I'm happy to say that you and me and our wives and my kids got to sit down and watch Hocus Pocus 2 together.
Yeah, Patty, it was a really fun time.
Yeah, it was a great time. I'm excited to talk about the movie. But before we do, I just want to quickly remind people we have a Nerd Fact of the Week. And since it's Halloween season, I want a Halloween fact. Patty, did you know that Halloween was originally a pagan holiday that just like Christmas, the Christians hijacked?
Yeah, Christmas and I think Easter too.
Easter too, yeah.
Easter too? Yeah.
Yeah, so for those who know, when the Holy Roman Empire took over all of the pagan places, they basically moved their holidays to their holidays so that the pagans didn't have to move their holidays. It was, I think, Halloween specifically, they did have two different, like, the Day of the Dead and Halloween were basically, it was a pretty easy switch.
Sure.
So yeah, that's our Nerd Fact of the Week. If you want to talk about that type of, nerdy stuff with us, we don't usually talk about that, but you can join our Discord, where we will be doing fantasy basketball. So the way that this is going to work, we already have a fantasy football league. We're going to be doing daily fantasy basketball weeks each week. Until Christmas, they'll all be free. No points for these ones. We're just getting people used to the system, stuff like that. Join at any time. Christmas Day, the preseason ends, Paddy B. We go live with 2 leagues on Christmas Day, a paid one and a non-paid one. The way that it works is you'll get points for your finish in each week, and then at the end of the season, we'll get a trophy for the overall points leader who got the most points for both the free-to-play and the paid leagues, the winner for the most points in the paid leagues, and then a winner for the most points in the free leagues. So, the only rule that we're going to make is that you won't be able to submit the same lineup for both leagues.
Sure.
So, with that being said, don't forget to check out our sponsor, Anchor. Anchor's the easiest way to put a podcast out there. There's probably another ad in this show. I don't know. It's probably at the beginning or the end. But we just want to say we love them. We think that they're great. And they make this show super duper easy to post. So, Paddy B, let's go on to our main topic. Hocus Pocus 2. What is it?
So, Hocus Pocus 2. Hocus Pocus 2 is the sequel to the, the original 1993 film Hocus Pocus, starring Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy and Jimmy, reprising their roles from the first film. Right? So, after the events from the first film, 3 young women accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters to modern-day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child-hungry witches from wreaking havoc on the world. It is directed by a new director, right? Not my boy Dave, but Anne Fletcher. She did a great job, and I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah, for those who don't know, by the way, if we're moving quickly, we actually already recorded this episode. There were some audio issues, and I just want to be transparent. I believe in transparency. So it was funny because I actually had somebody that was like, "Hey, I thought that you recorded your episode. I always listen to your guys' podcast, and it's been weeks and it hasn't come out yet." And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't edited that yet." And then I text them and I was like, "And we have to re-record." So, thank you, Joey, for being a listener. But yeah, with that being said, Patty, the transparency side, I want to talk about our first memories, and I want to do it in two ways. One,
Okay.
I want your first memories, or your like, I don't know how to say this. I want not just your memories of watching this movie with my family and me, but I want your first impressions when you heard this movie was going to happen. What was your feeling when you're like, Hocus Pocus 2? You just heard the words.
Pure excitement, right? Because of those core memories made with family. In fact, for a little bit there, I was so I think my parents had shown me Something Wicked This Way Comes, and it had really spooked me out. And like, I don't think I watched, like we had the VHS of Hocus Pocus, but like, I didn't like want to watch it initially as a little kid, right? So I was too spooked by the last like scary movie that they had shown me, and so yeah. Um, but when I was a younger or older adult or older child, right, we started watching that. It became a Halloween tradition, and did a lot of fun witch stuff, and yeah. So those core memories really drove my excitement when they announced this, right? How it even it's something. It doesn't matter. It's every year we watch Hocus Pocus on Halloween. Whether it's at my parents' place, me and my wife, that's just something that is, part of our family core and things that we do.
Yeah, I think if I didn't say this, I meant to on that first episode that you guys did on with me and Wes, but Hocus Pocus is my favorite Halloween movie. It's not particularly close. I just think that this film, the first one really encapsulated Halloween. Like, I really love the jokes about commercialism and like, there was so much in that I really loved. And when this movie was announced, and we knew that the witches would be returning, I was just like, I can't wait. It's a little sad. I think that Zachary Binks is like a huge reason that the first movie is so good. So knowing going into it that Zachary would probably not be there, even though it was kind of teased a little bit. I that was a little sad, but like for me, I'm a huge guy for nostalgia. Like I know a lot of people are I'm so sick of nostalgia, but it's like, no, I really want to watch this movie with my kid. Maxwell today in the car was like, "Mom, Hocus Pocus 2 is my favorite Halloween movie," and he's watched it like 6 times since we watched it together, and that's the experience I wanted. I was really excited. What was your initial impression? The movie ends at my house. What were your initial thoughts?
When the movie ended at your house, right there, I think I did like a little, because we love this movie so much. We may have overhyped ourselves for it. I think that there was a lot of cool things and expansion of the story, right, and getting a wider view of this Hocus Pocus universe, right, and yeah, learned a lot of cool things, and I thought that there was that the book was closed, but maybe not.
Yeah, so for me, I thought it was fun. Like my initial impressions of that was fun. Like that was enjoyable. And there were a lot of parts that I thought were pretty great. Before we go into our next segment, I just want to say that the rest of the episode will contain spoilers for this movie and probably for the first movie. So if you haven't seen it, you should go watch both.
Go do that.
They're pretty easy watches, and as somebody that has now done it, they're also pretty great back-to-back watches. So, pretty fun. That being said, let's go into our overall impressions, a high-level look of what we're reviewing and what we loved about it. For me, there are, I won't get into like favorite characters, storylines, or moments, but like at the highest of levels, I thought that it felt like the witches didn't miss a beat. Like, they jumped right back into those characters. They were perfect. They, like, absolutely perfect. And the movie starts set when they're young, and Winifred is going to get married off. And even those little girls played the younger versions of the witches so well. Like, I was immediately drawn in and felt like they captured the essence of Hocus Pocus right away, which was also really impressive with a new director. What about you? What was your overall impression?
Yeah, they did a really good job as far as capturing the spirit of the movie, right, and making it feel very similar, but also very different. And I think, for something that was made, like a sequel that's made, almost like 30 years, almost 30 years later, right, from when this was, made and filmed.
Don't
right?
do that. That's not true.
I know. It was 93. We're at almost 2023. So that's why it says like almost 30 years.
I don't need you to make me feel old in the middle of my podcast.
Sorry. Oh.
Is that true?
I mean, yeah.
Were you even born yet?
I was one. Yeah, I was born in 92. So, like, I didn't have...
I feel like you just shattered some glass for me live on the podcast, and I really don't appreciate it. Yeah, all right.
Sorry.
It's fine. I'm such a boomer. All right.
It's okay. Sorry, what were we talking
Anyway,
about?
30 years later... Patty.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah. with so much time that's passed, it really, it's hard to not be, different. Right. That's a hard ask. And especially getting with a new director. Right. And I botched it I think I said David. It's Kenny Ortega is the original director. He did the High School Musical stuff too. But yeah, no, it really captured the feeling of Hocus Pocus and gave you, a high, again, bigger lens into the story as a whole.
Yeah, and not to get into specifics, because we'll get into it later in the episode, but like they do a really good job of bringing the fact that it's 30 years different and making it funny. Like, they have really good fan service to the people who know that the witches like had a trouble adjusting last time and how they're going to adjust this time. So it was really great. Let's go over our favorite character. Usually we just pick one character that's our favorite. This time we're going to go a witch and a non-witch. Paddy B.
Okay.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. So my favorite witch in this movie, right? The more, because I've watched it again as well since then, I love the jumps and the leaps and bounds that Sarah Sanderson makes in this movie, right? You really get to see some great character development with, the girls try and trick them right into thinking that they don't need to lure the children anymore, that you can just get it at the store, right? And Sarah's like, that was my job. That's my favorite part, right? Like, of the whole process. You don't need me anymore. And then her, standing up to Winifred in the end, really,
Are you not going to pick Sarah after saying all of this and then take the one that you know is mine with all of my points?
No, did we do that again? I thought yours was Kathy. Was Mary.
Oh, no, it's okay. If you are going to pick Sarah, it's fine.
It is Sarah.
Okay, mine is also Sarah, for everything you just said. I just wanted to make sure that, like, because you said you watched it again, so I was like, oh, is he going to switch? Because last time we recorded, we were both Sarah, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, we both had because what's funny is that both of ours in the first one is Mary, right? Like, we both love Mary in the first one. And it's not that Mary's not great in this one. She is still great. But no, for everything you said, like, Sarah stands up to Winifred. Sarah, you learn stuff about Sarah's relationship with Billy, and it just makes Sarah more likable in a lot of ways.
100%. I for what it's worth, I do have. I think that Winifred gets a bad rap in this one, and she definitely could be my favorite witch. Right? It's close. I do like. It feels like I felt like there was closure at the end, and that she also came a long way, right, as a character, in this movie. But yeah, just really really impressed with the Sister Sarah.
Who's your favorite non-witch?
So my favorite non-witch, I can't trying to remember this actor's name. Gilbert.
Sam Richardson
Character as Mr. Gilbert, who it does a really good job in this movie of tying back to the original Hocus Pocus, right? He was a kid on the streets who got his candy stolen by the bullies, right? And had a horrible Halloween and saw the whole thing happen in the graveyard with the Sanderson sisters. He owns the magic shop in town now, right? He has book all locked up, and is really convinced, right, that the Sanderson sisters were more evil because of their situation and the time, rather than just being evil people.
Gilbert does a really good job of like pushing the story along. He also does a really good job of playing the part of a Hocus Pocus fan from the first movie, and like kind of filling that role for you as a viewer of like the person that watched Hocus Pocus 1 as a child, and kind of got to watch the movie now. I also really think that like his capitalistic problems are a really good fan service to like the problems that are mentioned in the first movie. So I really like that about about Gilbert. I'm gonna keep calling by their actors' names for some reason.
The actors' names, yeah. Sure.
So I have a tie for my favorite non-witch, but I'm gonna say the one that I said in the first one, which is Izzy. I think that everybody needs a friend like Izzy. So, Izzy wanting to involve Cassie and trying to get Becca to involve Cassie. Izzy, the moment that she has with the salt, like, where she just, like, has this moment where she's told she needs salt and she just grabs, like, 7 different salts. It's so funny. I think that she was super endearing and the best friend that anybody could ask for the whole movie. And I think that provides a lot of value where to have this super likable character. Like, I don't think anybody walks out of that, I guess not walks out of the movie because we'll get into this later, but, gets off their couch and it's not like, man, I really hated Izzy. Like, nobody could say that. Everybody's like, what was pretty great? Izzy's pretty great. My second favorite character that we'll get into during favorite moments is the mayor. I think that Tony Hale is the best part of Arrested Development and is the best part of this. So, in a lot of ways. I think, for what it's worth, one of the reasons that Mary is such an improved character in this, too, is that they put some of the buffoonery onto the mayor instead of Mary, so it lets Mary grow. And I think that the way Tony Hale did it, like, I really appreciate that. Like, it allowed room for another character to grow, but to still have that type of comedy in a film where you expect it, right? Like you want it. And it's not that Mary didn't have those moments. And Kathy, I think Kathy did. It's honestly just a huge shout out to Kathy, Bet, and Sarah for playing Sarah Winifred and Mary, and just literally stepping back into those roles. It was impressive. So
yeah, I loved with Mary specifically, like you mentioned that, and it's like some of the interactions like in the Walgreens, where she gets to like be like, no, I want to eat you. You stay right here with me.
Right.
Like
she gets to be Mary, but not be an idiot, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like that would be a moment where like Mary would let the kids escape in the first movie, and instead she's learned from the first movie,
right?
And it's like, no, you're staying here. So I love it. Favorite storyline. Typically in this segment, we talk about an arc or a moment in a story, individual storylines that really resonate with us. And I'm going to not take one of them because I know it's your favorite, so I'm going to leave it. I have a couple that are my favorites. The first one that I'll say, I'm going to cheat and say a couple, is the friendship storyline between the girls.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was. I don't want to get into my could be better with it, but it was one of my favorites. And I think we all have that moment as young kids, right? Like, I say young kids. They're actually not young kids, and I shouldn't do that because they're actually like, what are they? They're 16. Is that right?
Something like that.
That's not a young kid. I don't know why I said that.
No.
They're. I remember being 16 pretty vividly. Like the ages between 16, probably really like 14 to 19, I have very vivid memories of as an old 32-year-old man at this point. And I don't know if this show is it's interesting because it feels like this show is more written for people my age in the way that they write the 16-year-olds, because it was super relatable. And maybe 16-year-olds are having the same type of issues that I had when I was 16, where friends don't communicate because they think the other friend's mad at them. The thing is that this actually happens well into like your 20s. Like this exact problem these girls have, it until you're like, I don't know. It doesn't happen to me anymore because I have really close friends that if it happened, I'd be like, yo, what's up?
Mm-hmm. But you didn't really have that confidence back then. Right?
Yeah,
to like,
I just think
like, yo, what's up?
Well, I think it's a skill that you learn, and like, honestly, like a trust that you build, and also this idea to not think malice of the other person, and to just always assume good intent is I think it's a learned behavior. I don't think that you know that at 16, and that moment where they're all sitting there and like, actually I'm going to say part of that for favorite moments, but that's one of my favorite storylines. Is just all these girls feeling like they're mad at each other. Well, the truth is none of them are actually mad at each other. It's really good. The second favorite storyline that I have is the Roomba. The way that it plays a pivotal role. I think that for a lot of people, like what the witches wrote in the first one was really funny, and to have what they wrote actually play a pivotal part in the movie was pretty great for me. It was a pretty great storyline. What about you?
They do have a mind of their own, for what it's worth. So I think one of my favorite storylines in this show is Billy, right? The way that they kind of put a bow on his character, and we learn, right, that he's just been alive and not 6 feet under since the first one. They never unalived him, so he's just been chilling all this time underneath there
for 30 years. Patty has even informed me.
For 30 years, as I've informed you. Oh, And yeah, so then yeah, so he is gets to correct his storyline throughout that, right? We see in the beginning, right back when they're little witches, that Winifred is who doesn't want to marry the person she's getting wed off to, but just like I'd like to marry Billy Butcherson. Um, but they were never. I guess they were never actually lovers. It was one kiss, one kiss. He was actually Sarah's lover, and um, he gets to. They correct that at the end, right? As far as there's the opportunity for forget exactly the situation, but they're I think they're disappearing, right? And Billy, I think one of the teenagers says the old story, right, about being Winifred's lover, and Gilbert corrects him. He's like, no, 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 because he makes a promise to him as part of Billy helping him with this potion that Gilbert is trying to make to uh, to tell his story. And I thought that was really cool and clever. It's still you still have the classic Billy thing, right, of losing his head and the body, trying to go around and find it. So it's great. Again, things that are different but feel the same too.
Let's talk about some could be betters.
Yep, you go ahead with this one. Start there.
So I have two could be betters. The first one has not changed. I wish they had spent more time with the girls. How long was the runtime of this film?
Ooh, good question.
It was
107 minutes.
143. It's hard, right? Because it's a kids movie, so you don't want it to break that 2 hour mark. I'm not gonna lie, it did not feel 143.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I wish that they had given 15 more minutes? I don't even know if it needs to be 15 minutes. It might just need to be 2 scenes, 8 minutes.
With the girls.
Sorry, yeah, I guess I should be really specific.
And building that relationship.
Yeah, you actually made a really good suggestion in the episode that we recorded where, if you, cut to Cassie a couple more times in the same situations, maybe let it be known earlier where you're dying for them to talk to each other because we already know that nobody's mad at each other. That might have been good, where it gives you that tension. Just, I wish that they had done more because I thought that the scene that they had was really endearing, but I wanted, I thought about this the other day too, maybe they kidnap Cassie. And then Cassie tells them right away, you didn't have to kidnap me, I wanted to hang out with you. And then they get into a fight about the boyfriend instead. There are so many ways to have involved all the girls. And I get it. I think a lot of it is because they wanted this movie to be about the Sanderson sisters. But I thought that all three of the girls were really great characters, and I had just wanted to see that relationship more.
Right. It can make it more believable, right? If you give a little more depth.
Yeah.
Right, that they are really good friends. Because you can't really tell that with
you get some things, right? Where the dad doesn't even realize that they haven't been hanging out, right? And I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. My other could be better is I wish this was not a Disney Plus movie. And I know that is not a critique of the film. So I don't think that takes anything away from Hocus Pocus 2. But I think this should have been in the movie theaters. This is one that I think would have been much more enjoyable for me to get a babysitter for Alicia and then go to this film with Maxwell and Debonair and you and Shelby in the theaters and some luxury loungers have a big tub of popcorn. Like, this felt like it was in the wrong setting.
Sure.
Um,
There's a real community with this movie specifically. Like Hocus Pocus has a real fandom, right? And the sense of community. You see, you see people cosplay as the Sanderson sisters all the time, right? And it's at cons and things, right? It's a real group of people, and I think having it in that theater aspect, kind of in this post everything is shut down
movie
world.
theaters sell out Rocky Horror Picture Show every year.
They charge through the nose.
Every year they sell it out.
Yes.
I promise you. Like, this would have outsold the last... Probably not Love and Thunder. I haven't looked at the numbers, but, like, some of the Marvel movies, this probably would have outsold.
Or what do we... No, we looked up some of the other ones that were, like, Disney exclusives. Or, it was Lightyear. It was Lightyear.
Oh, that was actually the comparison I made. Where, we can actually talk about that. Lightyear bombed.
Right.
And Lightyear's the perfect Disney Plus movie. Like, right. I don't get it, man. And this is not a critique of Hocus Pocus 2. It is a could be better, though, of the viewing experience we got to have and the initial memory we got to have with this film. And I think it's a huge miss. Like, people are like, oh, movie theaters are going to die. It's like, yeah, because you put Lightyear in theaters and you put Hocus Pocus 2 at... Which one am I going to see? I already have Disney Plus.
Right.
Guess what? 100%. Lightyear's going to come to Disney Plus eventually. It doesn't really matter to my kid when he sees it. You know what would have mattered? To the parent of that kid, though? Seeing Hocus Pocus 2, I would have bought an extra ticket for my kid and taken him.
That's fair. Yeah.
See, I'm getting as heated as I was last time.
Oh yeah.
It actually bugs me, though.
Yeah.
Am I crazy, though? Like, tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not crazy. You're right. And there's a lot of, it's they made that choice to be exclusive on Disney Plus. I don't know if that's I really don't think Disney needs to like have things exclusive on Disney Plus that like will like draw people to it. The people are going to come for the fan bases and the characters, right? Like that. I don't think they have to like do that kind of stuff that some of the other streaming services might have to do to get people to subscribe to the service.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, those are my two good-be-betters. Do you have any?
Yeah. So, as a connoisseur of corn and corniness,
it has the juice.
It has the juice. For what it's worth, my wife does not enjoy that trend on TikTok. But I love the
she
corn.
She doesn't like big lumps of knobs?
No. She does not. That's okay. I think so. Comedy is, there's a rule of threes, right? Where if you do something, it's funny 3 times and then it's not. I think a few more times than not, this movie went one over past it being like funny, right? So it was like funny for a bit and then like lost it at a lot of the jokes. But it's still there was also plenty of them that were just right. So yeah, I also wish that they had spent more time developing those relationships with the girls, or even and this is something that maybe in my loves, right, is that the little witches, right? And so I kind of wanted to see more of them like running amok as little witches. But it all worked out. It was okay.
Let's go on to Lovitz. I'm gonna let you go first. What are your biggest Lovitz for this film?
Biggest Lovitz. So biggest Lovitz, I love and oh shoot, that was yours. I can't steal that one.
No, good. Say whatever you want.
Okay. The caramel apple storyline. I'm sorry.
It's funny because I thought you were going to say it during the storyline, so I didn't say it during storylines.
Here we go.
So we're both trying not to steal each other's. No, talk about it though, because I'll jump in.
It's what happens when you have to re-record. Right? I can't exactly remember who said what, but we both agree on a lot of the things. So the saga with this lovely mayor character, who all he wants on Halloween is this special caramel apple from this person who comes down, I think, from Boston, right? Like it's like a very special, exclusive thing, and due to the witchery and circumstances, he is unable to get his apple in the first place. Or rather, no, he gets his apple in the first place, gets it stolen due to the witchery, and then she runs out, and he has to settle for
that moment,
gas station caramel apple.
That moment where I think it's Izzy is like, well, at least you got your caramel apple, and then he freaks out. That is actually my favorite moment in the whole movie. In the whole movie, Maxwell was watching it. Maxwell was watching it. Like I said, he's watched it like 6 times.
Yeah.
And I actually sat down the other day to watch that part because it's so funny. The thing that made it so funny is just Tony's performance. He plays this really upset character. Like, no, you shut up. You shut up. Like, everybody shut up. All I wanted was this stinking caramel apple, and I had this stupid caramel apple. You know what? I'm still gonna eat it. But I'm not happy. You witches get out of here. The party's over. Like, it is so good.
Yeah.
It is honestly perfect.
It's like the equivalent of like going from even now, like it's hard to describe it, right? How much better he thought that the specialized caramel apple ones, like they're really fancy, right? And then you go to see just like a basic, like wrapped up, just bland one. It's almost like going to one of the little suckers. And then for me, like the music in this one is just so good. We get to hear them sing a lot more, and as a MT person, that just touches my soul. And like the drag contest.
Did you say it's
right?
The MTG person?
MT musical theater.
Oh, MT person.
I should have been more specific. It's someone
you needed to be more theatrical.
As a connoisseur, as a yes.
As a man of the theater.
As a man of the theater. I enjoyed that the witches are back, and what is it? One way or another, I'm gonna get you, or Sarah.
Listen to both those songs.
Spell song. Today. Yeah.
I did.
Get you in the mood.
No, we listened to a Halloween playlist on the way to the zoo and on the way back. So.
Oh, because it's Boozoo, right? It's like the spooky.
No, we didn't do the Boozoo, the Blue Lights tonight.
Oh, is that like a night thing?
So I think you're mixing up 3 different things.
Okay.
So for those not in the know of Utah, the Hocus Zoo is one of the highest rated like zoos for animals, like conservation zoos that like they'll breed animals in captivity, and those are the animals that they'll keep, or they actually will save animals that cannot live in the wild anymore. And that's the only animals that they have. So they're a really highly rated zoo here in Utah, and they do a lot of really special things. Like they do Blue Lights, which are these light shows on Halloween at nighttime, where they actually look really cool. Then they do Zoo Brews, which is adult night at the zoo. And what's really cool about zoos, if people want to support them, I'm like going to plug the zoo really quick because I actually just love the Hocus Zoo. And I think that if you have a good zoo, I'm being very clear, a good zoo in your area, you should probably support them, because you should support zoos that take care of animals the right way and breed in captivity instead of stealing animals from, like, taking animals from butchers and stuff.
Right.
And Zubru is like an adult night, and one of the cool things is that at nighttime, certain animals are more active, right? So if you go to
Mhm.
if you go to the zoo during some of these night stuff, you're going to more likely see tigers. You're more likely going to see different animals being more active. So it's a really cool experience if you get to do stuff like that at your local zoo. Anyway, beside that tangent, support your zoos that are good, not the bad ones.
The Roombas are wonderful. The rather not just the Roombas, but the way that because that was a big thing in the first one, right? Is the things that they ride. Like Winifred gets her broom, she gets another broom. This one, I think this one Sarah rides a Swiffer mop, and Mary rides these Zumbas. Like
2 Roombas, yeah.
Yeah, 2 Roombas on you know, as like they were roller skates, and watching their adventures through the uh, thing, and the way they free the witches from their captivity of salt, right? Because
Yeah.
the kids have this awesome plan to to trap the witches, and they trap
It was
them in
great.
salt, and
It was
it works. And the story gets to progress because the Roombas save the day.
Yeah, I am going to start rapid firing all my love it's.
Do it.
Yeah. So, one, the dance scene as like after the spell, like the whole sequence is pretty great, including the point where they're like, "Well, these people are moving way too slow. Like, we gotta go." It was so funny. The moment where the moment where they have to explain why what Mike was doing was making fun of them is pretty great. Getting to see young Gilbert was really great. The origin story of them becoming witches and like dealing with that witch. I don't even know who played that witch.
I know. Haven't seen, because I don't know what that character's name is.
I didn't even see it.
Hannah Waddingham. The
Where
Witch
did you
Mother is the name of the character.
It's
on
not on
the
IMDb on
fandom.
that first page, so
It's on the fandom.
it's on the fandom. Okay. I think the Taylor Henderson who played young Winifred. Oh my gosh, absolutely crushed it.
Perfect.
Just out of this world. The that whole sequence, in all honesty, like the opening to this movie was actually insanely good.
Yes.
That was not what I was expecting to start this film, and it pulled me in immediately. So huge love to that. Let's see here. Any other major love? So we already talked about the Apple.
Oh, she plays Rebecca in Ted Lasso.
I've not seen Ted Lasso yet. For what's worth. Yeah, put your jaw for the. That's a terrible thing for the voice listeners, but that was great.
Sorry. Yeah.
Audio listeners are like, "What happened?" I honestly my last big love it is. I thought they did a really good job with fan service. From the devil and his wife, from the black cat, and then thinking it's Zachary Binks, from giving us Gilbert as like this fan service character. From the only thing that was missing is I wish that they had tried to talk to the police again.
Sure. Yeah.
And, like, it would have actually been really funny if they tried or just like a call out, like if they were like, we can go talk to the police officer over there, and one of them was like, it's Halloween, that's not a real cop, and then he gets into a cop car and like turns his sirens on and goes, like, that would have been a really funny joke.
Just like have it actually be a real cop.
That would have been so great.
Yes.
But that's not really could be better. I don't know why I said they did such a good job that like I did think that watching it last time when I watched it with Maxwell, I was like, man, I wish that we had a cop joke in here. But no, I just think that this movie was full of. I actually liked it better the next few times I watched it. I think, like you said, I didn't have those I didn't have high expectations. I knew what I was getting into. And that's a rule on the show. Like, we typically tell people, like, don't go into a movie with, like, high expectations. Go in expecting nothing and just enjoy the ride. Before we rate it, what do you think of the post-credit scene?
Yeah, the post-credit scene that we missed initially.
Yeah.
It's, like, great that we got to record because... So I thought, the way they had ended this movie, right, Winifred casts the power spell, right, and gives up the things that she loves most, which is her sisters, right, and she doesn't know that initially, right, because she didn't read the warnings for the spell, which, Book kept, trying to, protect her in that way, right, like, don't do this. She made a promise when she was a young girl to not ever cast it to the witch mother, right, and so, and then when Baka and Izzy, and when the new coven, right, essentially sends her to them, I thought that it's Magicae Maxima, yeah. I thought that they had really wrapped up the story, right? It's like, oh, this is a good way to just put a pin in it and just like great ending. There's some resolution here, but as we find out in a very short post-credit scene, that Webb, Gilbert's cat that is not Thackeray Binks, is seen with next to another black flame candle.
Yeah,
right?
it just says Black Flame number 2 candle, right? Like, that's all it says.
Right. Who knows if they can come back or not.
I don't know what that means, that they'll come back. Yeah, I would be shocked if we saw another Hocus Pocus.
I definitely, I love this franchise, and I love, these two movies. I don't know if I will get as excited.
Would you rather? I'm going to give you two options, okay? This movie did pretty well on downloads.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you two options. You either get the Sanderson origin story, the prequel, or you get the sequel with Sarah, Bet, and Katie.
I want the prequel. I
also would rather have the prequel. I love them, but I liked the ending to this movie.
Right.
I would rather have the prequel.
Right. There's only I think one thing that sequels run into, right, is there's only so many times you can do the thing. Right? Because a lot of movies, it feels like very, rinse repeat with watch rinse repeat with that. So the Little Witches were one of my favorite parts, and you seeing in these child actors really nailing the main character traits.
I'm gonna make a caveat. Yeah. I would accept next Halloween they announce a Sanderson Sisters TV series with those three actresses reprising their role as the young Sanderson sisters. They get 10 episodes, okay? And they announce at the end of that series, it cuts to a post-credit scene where they light the candle for the new coven, brings back the Sanderson sisters, and together they beat the Witch Mother. Like, that would be an okay movie. Like, if you wanted to end the series,
just like Witch Mother going all god tier level.
That would be okay with me.
Sure.
Anyway, Disney, if you want to hire me for a production, you're like, as you're thinking about it, you're like, yeah, actually, that.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. That's such a good idea.
On a scale of 0 to 5, how would you rate my idea?
I'm going to give it the same rating I gave it last time.
I didn't give this idea last time.
What? No.
I said on a 0 to 5, what would you give my idea?
Oh, your idea? Oh, 5.
All right. What would you give the movie?
5. Sorry, I misheard you there. I didn't hear that I was reading your idea. For the movie, I'm going to give it 4. I love Hocus Pocus. There was a little too much corn. I agree with the could be betters. It's gotten a little better each time that I've watched it. Like I think this part of that first watch, it was fun to have a watch party, right? In the setting, it was maybe not the best for like really digging in, right? But the more I watch it, the more I'm okay with everything. So it's a 4.
I will also give it a 4.
You've changed.
A solid movie. Like, legitimately enjoyable. It'll be a part of every Halloween for the rest of my life. I will not say that I wouldn't change a thing. I'm almost to a 4.5 on it. Like, I think that this movie's, like, really good. Great music. Great character development for a sequel. As far as sequels go, it's actually a really good one. I honestly, though, I do actually think that while the movie itself is not worse for the experience that they gave us by putting it on Disney Plus, I think my memories of this movie, it's so weird, right? I had a ton of fun with you and Shelby at my house that night.
Right.
It literally has nothing to do with my company. It is this, maybe it's because I'm like, it's possible, like, if we ask a bunch of Zoomers, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, and there's a lot of millennials, too, that, like, would rather watch something at home. But there is something about escapism that happens in a movie theater that actually, I think, really hurt this film for me.
Sure. There's a lot of sensory things.
Right? Yeah.
You can have your lights off and do a lot of that, make your home theater good. It's weird. It's something about being in a theater with other people that, like, there's an aura with it.
If you want to find this show, you can. Edit that out, Spencer. If you want to find us, you can find me at Spencer13H on Twitter. You can find Paddy at PaddyBMTG, where he posts about the best Esper list to ever win an Oasis Games standard RCQ. If you want to find the show, you can find us at NeedsNerdPod, or just follow Heezy Game Media on Twitter. If you want to support us, head on over to patreon.com/HeezyGameMedia. That supports the entire network, whether it's this show, whether it's the Constructive Criticism Network. We're going to have to update that probably coming next year for stuff for this show, with Patty and I kind of finally getting into a groove. We didn't miss a week, Patty. We just missed a week because the audio sucked, but we actually are on pace. We're doing our thing. I'm really excited for it.
100%. I'm excited to continue talking about some. We have some cool plans coming up for.
Yeah, I already have our next 2 episodes planned, and Patty doesn't know what they are. So this face right now is so great.
I thought I knew what they were. Sorry, sorry, audio listeners. I've done a lot of things today where it's been my face only.
You can like and subscribe, and the best way to do that right now is to just go to your favorite podcasting app. If it's Apple Podcasts, leave a review and a rating. If it's Spotify, they just introduced ratings. If you could leave 5 stars, it's super helpful for the show. It will make us a lot easier to find for a lot of people. And those reviews do a ton on Apple Podcasts. So thank you, everybody, so much for listening. We'll see you guys all next time with another episode of the Need to Nerd podcast as we review Rocky Horror Picture Show.